Hi everyone, GamerDude here. So since the last video I made on Gate Ruler, Hunter Surge shared some information with me, both clarifying some things and some new information. Unlike last time, today's video is partially scripted, as I've had some time to do it. Let's just get on with it. Gate Ruler is owned by Akita's company. iSpy is handling the English release. They have nothing to do with anything on the development side of things, or anything else to my knowledge. This was recently said by Akita too, that the game is aimed at 14 plus, mainly 20s and 30s. I think that's a bit different to just older people and does suit the art style shown. I still think trying to attract new blood is worth pursuing. So Gate Ruler is doing something really cool with their avatar cards, at least the ones in the demo decks. They're self-inserts. Each card comes in both a boy and girl variant and only depicts a silhouette of the character. Proxies are entirely legal. You can print yourself out, or an original character to play as. I really like this level of immersion. I would have never thought of anything like it. It takes the original flavour of Magic, you are a planeswalker, and physically puts you into the game. I don't think immersion in paper gets much deeper than that. From a design perspective, it saves a ton of time and money. If it's game-wide, it pushes you into a bottom-up design paradigm, where cards are mechanics first, since they're just mechanics. I say that it might just be the demo decks, since there is a recent statement from Akita that a new ruler he's designing, or recently designed, looks like a knight. That flies in the face of this, but I really like the concept of inserting yourself into the game. I think something could be built from that. Also on rulers, they're 2 to 3 colours natively. The demo rulers are 5 colours but lack effects. On base value that sounds like a good trade and could keep the demo rulers viable. But the effects apparently have so much of an effect on gameplay that you want the proper rulers. This is apparently how the game morphs into other forms. It's also where the QR code comes into play. Apparently you have to scan it to get the effect. I'm not a huge fan of this, to be honest. I think it's cumbersome and rather annoying. I don't want to have to keep deflecting to my phone until I have the card thoroughly memorized, and if they're as wordy as they sound, well, that could take some time. I think if gatefold cards were an option, cards that fold out, that should have been done. Or dual face cards, where the backside could have just been a block of text. I could see just printing out the effect and sleeving it or something. Here is the mat and we can deduce a few things from it. Energy is the resource system and taps like lands or the mana zone when used. This explains why levels max out at 3. The resource zone also maxes out at 3. We don't know how to get the resources, but the resource system seems more to do with restricting powerful cards than being a breaker on turn length. Oh, does that sound familiar? Wink wink. It's not the only aspect of the game putting a limit on powerful cards either. The legendary card type does the same thing. They limit 1 per card and your ruler states how many your deck can pack. It's a limit on powerful cards, not a breaker on the turn, because the game seemingly has a slew of level 0 cards. You can play those willy-nilly. I think a good analogy would be Vanguard's level system. The mat shows 10 damage. This seems to be the base level and not the actual size you play with. Ruler dictates life value. It's still unknown if anything interacts with damage, though CNT is speculated to be damage trigger effects. I kind of wish they had chosen a different term. When I see CNT, counter, I think reactionary effects, an interrupt from old school Magic, not damage triggers. Deck and symmetry are self-explanatory. Not sure what the field zone is. In my discussion with Hunter, he speculated that it's for event cards that become permanents. We haven't seen that yet, or a field card type that is a permanent if this is the case. Battlefield is probably the most interesting part of the mat. We have a back row a la Yu-Gi-Oh! And quite a few events operate like traps from Yu-Gi-Oh! Set them, they have specific timings where they trigger. Limit 3 to the field. I think the limit is the only new information here. The central part of the field is your ruler with a unit on both sides. There is a unit in front of the ruler and it is unknown why it is horizontal. Speculation currently is that it is just a meat shield and can't attack. We also don't know if having a defensive unit prevents the ruler from attacking or not, since it has the stats of a unit. There are too many unknown factors regarding the battle system, but it seems to just be a mod of buddy fight. Moving on from the mats, I want to discuss some assorted points. The demo decks will be available to print. I think that is a huge positive. I've had that on the cards for a very long time with my own work, so I'm biased there. Saying that, they should have been up long before the pre-order window closes. You want people to get a taste before they commit, not commit, then taste. Seems a bit backwards to me. Further than that, the demo deck cards will not only be legal, yes, your printouts will be legal, but they will be adding to the pool of cards you can print out over time. There was a comment that sounded like these printouts will either rotate out of format or be replaced, or their legality is on a timer. Nevertheless, I think it's an interesting way to do things. Depending on how it's done, it might actually keep certain cards in format without having to excessively reprint them. Ikeda wants you to talk to him specifically if you have any issues. Have to respect that. He's a member of the Gate Ruler Discord, you can find him there. There was a rather interesting statement from him about players asking for a skill-based game, one called Dimension Zero, but when they got it, they didn't like it. He said it's because they couldn't win, which is a fair assessment. Richard Garfield noted this very thing back in the early 90s. But I want to say something else on this. Luck factors give games explosive and memorable moments. It makes them dynamic and unpredictable, replayable. Pure skill is the same thing every time, and more than a bit boring. Ikeda has said that the game has 10 decks that they've baked in, or have identified in just set 1. Given that most rulers are 2 colours, that implies all colour combinations are viable. That'll be interesting to see, and once the game releases, whether the community proves his playtesting team wrong or not. He makes the statement that the community will find things he didn't, and is absolutely correct. Someone in the community will find something, and it might force a lot of those 10 decks out. While I was getting this video together, a couple of new articles came up on Gate Realize. As they related to things I'd talked about and were new interesting information, I decided to take up part of the script and add this to the end of the video. I am sorry if this is a bit jarring having it go from scripted to live video. I am sorry for that. I just really wanted to get this out tonight. Anyway, let's get started. Ikeda made a series of tweets elaborating on the price, pull rates, and pack size of the normal and high rarity booster packs. I don't mean to prove that it is inexpensive, as that is up to the customer. But this was my intent in making it this way. Isn't it more valuable to get a lot of high rarity cards at a low price rather than inflating it with common cards? No, not necessarily. If there's a ton of foils and you get them not all that infrequently, but frequently enough, it's still going to be annoying to pull specific ones. While if there's a decent amount of foils and you get them very frequently, they're not going to have much value. And rather unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because this is the way I think, and I believe a lot of the people that would watch this channel think, I'm more interested in gameplay and playing the games, but the intended use of the cards is, versus their monetary value. I like things like living card games. Unfortunately, there's no living card game I actually like on the market now. Chrono Clash is more or less dead. So that is a very... it's a statement that can go either way. It really depends on a lot of factors. And no, I don't think it is more valuable. It's just the act of pulling the foil gives an endorphin release. until people realise either one, it's super hard to pull that specific foil, or two, the foils are about as useful as bum paper, or have as much value as bum paper. But anyway, let's go on. One box costs 9,000 yen, which is the exact price of two Duel Masters boxes. You might be convinced if you notice the number of 3 stars is equivalent to the number of very rares, which is the one above rare in Duel Masters, and the number of 4 stars is the equivalent to the number of super rares, which used to be the highest rarity. I don't think it isn't now, but it used to be the highest rarity in Duel Masters. In Vanguard equivalents, this would be double rare and triple rare, and I believe that's the case for Buddy Fight. In Gate Ruler, I think collecting a bulk of common cards is unnecessary. Well, it is in most games. But yeah, that's got some information in it that I think is worth noting about thought patterns. There's some things that I think are a bit more complex than he's making it out to be. It depends on the game itself. So let's get on to the next one I think is interesting. An easy to understand explanation of the high rarity pack. There are 9 cards that would normally be common, rare, or starter deck that are not normally foil, but are all foil here, which I personally think is fine for the most part. If Force of Will's printer is covering this, the foils are going to be really high quality. I just recently pulled out a box that was some 4, 5 years, 6 years old. It was like Grim Alice Lapis stuff. The stuff wasn't stored properly. Flat as a pancake, more or less. Yu-Gi-Oh stuff that I had from late last year that I pulled out a couple of months ago. Pringles. Really, you get to a point where you start realizing foiling isn't worth it if the card quality doesn't match. So, there's that. There are 4 or more 3 stars, and one of those will always be a 4 star. You can get 2 4 stars. For the amount this booster pack costs, I bloody well hope so. Just saying. I think you do kind of get your money's worth a bit. If the very rares, the 3 stars, are of some decent monetary value, at least in this alternate form. It will have to wait to be seen. I'm curious whether the actual pulls will match the cost. But that's for the market to decide, unfortunately. Unlike in the normal booster pack, 3 stars have enlarged art that pops out of the frame. So it's a lot like the current Magic alternate arts. No, not Magic. I think a better comparison would be the Pokemon full arts. They burst out of the frame. And the 4 stars get a special full art frame, so basic Force of Will stuff. The Legend card is 1 per box, but has the special foiling of Uber Rares. If Uber Rares, I believe it is the same as Force of Will, but if it is, that means it's monochrome. It looks like a sheet of metal. The following is not really meant to be a selling point. I'll make my entire deck shine. To reward the dedication of such players, I thought we should have a card that only they can get. So a case of the high rarity pack, 50 packs, contains an exclusive alternate art version of Viola Flubs. Now that's hard to pronounce, but yeah, that's fine. I don't really care about alternate arts unless it's something really highly desirable. That's fine. It's fine. I don't really care about alternate arts and that being expensive. I honestly would prefer alternate artworks be quite expensive and normal ones be cheap as chips. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Guess what I'm planning? But more about that later, next year. So, I think some people will dislike this, but certainly rare cards are valuable because they are hard to pull. But I don't want to feel the guilt of wasting resources from a ton of extra commons coming out of the pack anymore. That's why I reduced the number of commons and increased the number of higher rarities. By that, I don't actually know what he means by that. It might have something to do with after the, well, we'll get into this in the next article, but after the retailer, uh, something with the retailers, I'm not sure what it was, but the number of foils box uh, gave out was increased. So I don't think that's so much the guilt of wasting resources it is, and I don't think those statements really mesh together. What he's trying to say is it feels bad not to get a foil out of buying X amount of boosters, so he made foils more frequent. But as a consequence of that, the specific foils had to be a little harder to get. At least that's how I'm reading that. So the next one's about a tournament. I don't find it particularly interesting. Tournament, don't find it interesting. And then finally, the rules for draft are one I think only can be done in Gate Ruler, so they can't be published yet. Plus, we also think we shouldn't tell anyone until we've tried rules out for ourselves. Sorry, tried these rules out for ourselves after the pack is produced. But it might be super interesting. I don't really care for sealed formats or draft or any of that stuff. So, if that interests you, there is thing. I just don't like seeing booster packs and sets, more importantly sets, mutilated and filled with garbage for these formats. I think that really defeats the purpose. And you end up in a situation with like Magic where you have to have set boosters, draft boosters, collector boosters, and that's utter nonsense stuff. That. So I also want to talk about the full set 1 production information, which is the booster pack specifications. Gate Ruler Booster Pack First Set, Earth and Another World Alliance formed. It's a rather long set name. We've got a nice picture of the booster pack. We can look at the box in the booster pack here. It draws you in a bit. It's very Vanguard, Duel Masters, Japanesey. I think this might actually be a problem with all the Japanese games looking very similar at this point because they use the same artists. They're kind of just blending into each other. If you told me this was a Vanguard card, I would believe you. If you told me this was a Buddy Fight card, I would believe you. If you told me this was a Duel Masters card, I would believe you. It's very nice. It's a nice artwork. I actually do like it. This isn't saying, oh, this artwork is bad. It's just more, I think I'd like to see more diversity. I don't think the card games are diverse enough. They're all looking very samey. Anyway, 133 card types. I don't know if I said this, but the Duel Masters comparisons, this is very close to a Duel Masters base set. One pack is 5 cards for 250 yen excluding tax. That is considerably more, about, over 25% more than a Buddy Fight booster pack goes for. Those are 172 yen from what I understand. And I am now kind of terrified of my local price because the local distributor for me, I don't know if I should mention them by name, but you can look up the Australian distributor for Bushiroad Games and Force of Will. They charge more than any other company distributor is. I'll put it this way. I could go buy, Vanguard boosters at $7 a piece. Or I could go buy Pokemon, Magic, or Yu-Gi-Oh! For $6 and under. Buddy Fight, all those 5 card packs used to be $4, they're now $5. And at 250 yen, I'm kind of saying a $6 pack. I really hope that's not the case. But that might actually be enough for me to go, yeah, no. I think the local distributors really gonna have to not do that. That's worrisome for me. If you mysteriously stop seeing, I should say, gate ruler content, it's the distributor. I'm not even kidding. If all you see is the review of the decks, yeah, it's the distributor overcharged for product. I really wish we had competition in this country, but alas, we don't. There's a bit of a monopoly. There really shouldn't be. There are more distributors than one for card games, but only one seems to touch Force of Will and Bushiroad games. So, yeah, hope. One box is 36 packs, one case includes 12 boxes. Amount of each rarity in one box per rarity. 63 commons, 1 star, 124 per box. So, we don't know how much a playset is, but you need at least 2 boxes for a playset of commons. Interesting. If they're 2 per deck, 4 per deck. 2 stars are 24 tops with 36 per box. So, yeah, you're going to need about 2-3 boxes. 17 super rares with 11 per box. This was as mentioned. Increase from 9 to 11 after the retailer briefing session with uber rares, so they can be different types. 11 of 17 is perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. 4 stars are 17 types, 8 per box. Increase from 6 to 8 after the retailer briefing session. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I really hope this is 3 per deck, but if it's 4, I'm fine with that. 4-star legend, which is the legend rarity, 6 types, 1 per box, plus 1 box topper, so you get a third of them per box. I'm fine with that. SEC, which we don't know. Question mark types. I'm not even sure what SEC is. Ruler, 6 types. 3 types of rulers, each with 2 different illustrations, 3 per box. So maybe they are sticking to the silhouette with male and female versions. But maybe the silhouette has the character in it. Maybe that's what they're going for. So it's a silhouette of a girl knight and a boy knight. That's the only way all of this information could blend together. So the rarity is represented by the number of stars. The more stars you have, the rarer the card is. In the first booster pack, there are 5 stages from 1 star to 5-star legend. About uber rare. There is a special version of 4-star called uber rares. UR is put on the card collection number. It is classified as SEC on the packaging. So the SEC is the uber rares, and they want to hide how many uber rares are per box. So they just start talking about this. So here's the high rarity pack. Doesn't really talk about chance to pull specific ones, but I don't think it mentions. Really matters right now. High rarity pack, gate ruler. High rarity pack, first set Earth and Another World alliance formed. 1 pack is 13 cards for 2,400 yen excluding tax. 1 box includes 10 packs. 1 case is 5 boxes. 1 4-star alternate art special processing promo card included. 1 type of a card from the parallel booster pack. Or 167 card types or parallel 4 versions of cards from the booster pack and 2 starter decks. 1 star, 63 card types plus 34 card types equals 94 card types. The 34 are the starter deck cards. Now, that's actually just let me get to the homepage for a sec. You might be able to decipher what a playset is then. Somewhere here, I know it was talked about recently. Was it talked about? No. But I'm pretty sure the boxes, the starter decks were 50 cards with a few extras. So, yeah, 4 card play sets. I think that's pretty much confirmed there. 24 rares, 2 stars, 17 full art, 3 stars, 17 parallel frame full art, 4 stars, 6 uber rare, 4-star legend, 6 rulers. Interesting, the rulers don't have an alternate form. Interesting. Foils, 3 or more, 3 stars. Foils, parallel frame, yeah, it's full art. Here's the star deck stuff, so it was down the bottom. So, box stuff. So, yeah, a deck is 51 cards and 54 cards. So it's 55 all up. Take out the 2 rulers, so it becomes 50 and 53, I believe. And then divide that by 4. You'll get the numbers you need. So yeah, it's 4. So the 2 decks are Yokai and Giant Robo. One deck is 1500 yen. That is probably the cheapest thing here. 51 cards included. A deck where beginners can enjoy high power beatdown and robot combination. Yokai and Giant Robo is a mixed color deck with Yomogen Front and Wonderverse. It is a deck that includes a choices of tactics, flashy reversals, and deadly combos within a simple playstyle of play and attack. It is a starter deck that beginners can use immediately and even advanced players can enjoy. Starter deck Demon Dragon Summoning. One deck is 1500 yen, excluding tax, 54 cards included. A combo deck for intermediate players. Dragon Summoning is a mixed card deck of Volna and Atlas now. English info dump, I think that was where it's Volna is the traditional fantasy, and Atlas is the all the cool animals and supernatural beings. So that's probably the one I would be more interested in. Although, where was I? This is a deck for intermediate players that summons dragons with Abyss Symphonia to destroy the opponent's field. Also note, I think this is very much like the buddy fight thing. Which, oh god, I'm not going to have a good time, am I? Okay, so when I tried out buddy fight for the first time, because I tried it 3 times, I picked Danger World. I did not have a good time. I think this is the exact same situation. The Yokai and Giant Robo is Dragon World. The Demon Dragon Summoning is Danger World. It's very much a beginner and intermediate deck situation, again, repeated. So there's that. I think the reason that it's 54 is I suspect it's an extra deck. I think there's 3 extra deck cards. Because they've mentioned special summoning a few times. Have they mentioned an extra deck? I don't know. And pre-release and set to in March. Set to start decks are for Vanquisher and Wizard. So that's all I really have to say on the matter. I hope this didn't go too long. 20 minutes. Oh, Jesus, it's going to be a long video. I'm sorry about that. So, yeah, my main and major concern right now is for the price locally. That's actually got me a bit spooked. I'm really sick of being gouged for TCGs that aren't the big 3 here. Really fed up with it, but we'll see. So I'm just going to read off the end of my script because that was how I was going to finish this anyway. That's about all the information I have. I'm looking forward to seeing this one in action. I think it's a far sight more interesting than another Magic or Duel Masters derivative game, most of what we've seen in the last few years. This has been Some Gamer Dude, and thanks for watching.